Listen, when she begins to pull back a little, starts acting distant, or suddenly feels colder than she was before, your first reaction is probably panic. You likely think she is losing interest, that she met another guy, or that you said or did something wrong without realizing it. That response is very normal. Almost every man thinks this way at first, but what if I told you that the opposite could actually be true? What if the reason she is creating space is not because she does not care anymore, but because she cares far more than she expected to? And this is where things become confusing for most men. There is one very specific behavior that nearly 90% of men believe means she is finished with them for good. In reality, that same behavior can be one of the strongest signs that she is falling deeply and emotionally attached. I will explain exactly what that behavior is shortly. But before we get there, you need to understand something important about how your mind works when emotions are involved. Your brain is almost designed to misread her signals in moments like this. Because when a woman starts developing strong feelings, she does not always move closer the way you expect. Sometimes she actually steps back, and if you misunderstand that phase, you can accidentally push her away at the exact moment she is trying to emotionally balance herself. I am going to show you how to clearly tell the difference between true disinterest and emotional overload. I will also explain the one thing you must never do when she starts acting distant or pulling away. If you make that mistake even once, you can unknowingly confirm her deepest fears about you. This is not about guessing, hoping, or lying to yourself to feel better. This is about understanding female psychology at a depth most men never reach. Stay with me, because later I will explain the scientific reason why women who care the most can sometimes appear the coldest. And the reason has nothing to do with lack of attraction or loss of interest. Let's begin with something most men get completely wrong. The real reason she is acting distant, and why that distance could actually be a positive sign. The reason she pulls away when she starts feeling love. The psychology behind this surprises many people. Picture this scenario. She used to text you constantly. You shared inside jokes. You talked late into the night, sometimes for hours without noticing the time. Then, without warning, something shifts. Her replies become shorter. She says she is busy more often. The warmth in her voice now feels guarded, like there is an invisible wall behind it. Naturally, you start to worry. You assume you are losing her. So you try harder. You send more messages. You give more attention. You offer more reassurance. And strangely, the more effort you put in, the more distant she seems to become. Here is what is actually happening, and at first it may sound completely backward. When a woman realizes she is truly falling for you, not just casually interested, her survival instincts can switch on. Why does this happen? Because being emotionally open in today's dating world feels dangerous to many people. It feels like handing someone the power to hurt you and hoping they choose not to use it. She has been hurt before. She has seen relationships fall apart. She remembers moments when she trusted too deeply and paid the emotional price. And now, with you, she feels those same emotions rising again. That vulnerability, that openness, that frightening feeling of losing control over her heart. Here is the part most men never think about. There is a real psychological response known as emotional flooding. When this happens, her brain struggles to tell the difference between falling in love and being in danger. This explains almost everything. As her feelings grow stronger, the fear center of her brain becomes more active. Her heart rate increases, stress hormones rise, Her body sends a warning signal that says, protect yourself now. So, what does she do in response? She creates space so she can feel safe again. This is not a game. This is not manipulation. It is biology and emotional self protection. And most men have no idea this process is happening beneath the surface. She is not pushing you away because she does not want you. She is pulling back because she is scared of how much she wants you. And here is something even more surprising. The stronger her attraction is, the stronger this reaction can be. That means if you truly want to understand her feelings, you do not chase harder or push more. You slow down and observe more carefully. There is one sign in particular that is so unexpected, so opposite of what most people believe, that when I explain it, you might doubt it at first. But it is very real. Before we get there, let me ask you something important. Have you noticed that she behaves differently with you than she does with other men? Maybe she seems colder or more guarded with you, but friendly, relaxed, or playful with everyone else. If that sounds familiar, pay close attention because it does not mean what you think it means. Here is the sign that almost everyone misunderstands, and understanding it can change everything. She is slightly harsher with you than she is with others. Not cruel, not disrespectful, but more honest, more willing to disagree, more likely to tease you or call you out when something bothers her. This sounds strange, but it matters a lot. When a woman is only mildly interested, she stays polite and agreeable. She keeps things light and easy. She hides parts of her true personality because she has not decided yet if you are worth the emotional risk. But when her feelings grow deeper, she relaxes that filter. She starts treating you like someone important, someone who already matters to her. She jokes with you more directly. She challenges you. She drops the perfect behavior and allows you to see her flaws, moods, and real opinions. Why does she do this? Because without consciously realizing it, she is testing whether you can handle her when she is not at her best. She wants to know if you will stay when she is real, not just pleasant or easy. Psychologists describe this as a form of emotional testing that only happens when there is genuine attachment. Most men misunderstand it completely. They assume she is becoming rude, losing attraction, or drifting away. In reality, she is allowing you closer than before. And it does not stop there. There are several other signs that show she is emotionally overwhelmed by her feelings for you. One of them is especially important because if you notice it, you can be almost certain her feelings are deep. But your response matters a lot because one wrong reaction can push her away permanently. One sign is that she creates distance but still keeps track of you. She may stop texting first. She may stop liking your posts, but she still views your stories quickly. She still checks your profile when she thinks you will not notice. She is physically distant but emotionally connected. This happens because she feels torn inside. She wants closeness, but closeness feels risky. So she stays close enough to feel connected, yet far enough to feel safe. If you suddenly disappeared for a while, she would likely be one of the first to wonder where you went. Absence creates anxiety in someone who is already emotionally invested. Another sign is that she reacts strongly to small things. You cancel plans because of work, and her reaction feels bigger than expected. You reply late, and she suddenly becomes distant. This is not drama without reason. This is emotional investment. When someone truly does not care, they barely react at all. Strong reactions usually come from strong feelings. She is not trying to be difficult. She is showing how much influence you have over her emotions, and that influence scares her. Another sign is that she talks about the future, and then quickly pulls back. She might mention a trip, an event, or something months away, and then immediately add something like, maybe we will see, or if we are still talking. That is fear speaking. She allows herself to imagine a future with you for a brief moment, then quickly shuts it down because hoping feels dangerous. What most men do not realize is that she only does this if she is already thinking about that future often. She is just afraid to admit it openly. Now, here is the strongest sign of all, the one that clearly separates casual interest from deep emotional attachment. She tells her friends the opposite of how she truly feels. This sounds unbelievable, but it happens more often than people think. When a woman is casually dating, she shares everything with her friends. She shows messages. She asks for opinions. She talks openly. But when she starts falling deeply, she often does the opposite. She downplays it. She says it is nothing serious. She acts like it does not matter much. Why does she do this? Because saying it out loud makes it real. And real means vulnerable. Real means she can get hurt. So she protects herself by pretending she cares less than she actually does. You can often sense this because her friends behave differently around you. They watch you closely. They seem curious or cautious. They act like they know something important. Even if she has not fully admitted her feelings yet, they can see it. If you have noticed this, it is a powerful sign that her emotions are real and deep. She is not cold because she does not care. She is cold because she cares too much. This is where many men make a serious mistake. When they feel her fear or notice her distance, they rush to reassure her. They try to explain their feelings, push for clarity, or demand emotional certainty. While that feels logical, it usually creates the opposite result. Instead of making her feel safe, it makes her feel pressured. It confirms her fear that she is losing emotional control. What she needs in that moment is not intensity or explanations. She needs steadiness. She needs to see that you are calm, consistent, and not shaken by her emotional ups and downs. When you stay centered, when you do not chase or react with panic, you quietly show her that you are a safe place to be. You do not need to announce it. You do not need to prove it with words. Your calm behavior speaks for you. That sense of safety is what gives her the freedom to come back on her own without feeling pushed or trapped. Real love grows best when it feels secure and steady, not rushed or forced into shape. When you truly understand this, you stop reacting from emotion and start responding with awareness and control. And that single shift is often the difference between pushing her farther away and becoming the man she feels safe leaning into, trusting, and slowly opening herself to. In the same situation, many men feel a strong urge to push harder for commitment. They want answers, they want clarity, they want to define the relationship, they want to know where they stand. So they ask questions again and again. They push conversations that feel heavy. They demand certainty. They try to force things into place so they can calm their own anxiety. Do not do this. It feels natural, but it works against you. Here is why this matters so deeply. When a woman is in this emotional state, pressure does not register as love. It registers as danger. It feels like suffocation, even if your intentions are kind and honest. Even light pressure can feel heavy to her nervous system. She needs to arrive at trust in her own time, at her own speed, without feeling backed into a corner. You cannot rush that process. You cannot force it forward. You cannot convince her with words. You cannot explain it logically and expect her emotions to suddenly fall in line. Emotional safety does not respond to logic. It responds to repeated experience over time. So, what should you do instead? You offer consistency without pressure. You become calm instead of reactive. You do not chase her when she pulls back. You do not interrogate her when her energy shifts. You do not demand explanations for every change in mood, tone, or availability. You do not punish her with silence or cold behavior just because she needs room to breathe. You stay steady. You remain grounded in yourself. You show up in a way that feels reliable, not overwhelming. You let her see that you are present without trying to control where she goes or how fast she moves. Through your behavior, you communicate something powerful. You show her that you are not going anywhere, but you are also not clinging, begging, or desperate for reassurance. When she creates distance, you respect that space, but you do not disappear entirely. You do not vanish to make a point. You do not withdraw to create fear or jealousy. You do not play games. Instead, you check in once in a while in a light and relaxed way. A simple message, a warm tone, something easy and natural, something that quietly communicates, I am here. There is no pressure and there is no expectation attached to this. This balance is extremely powerful because it removes fear while keeping the connection alive. It lets her relax instead of brace herself. There is another piece of this that most men either misunderstand or never use correctly, and it makes a huge difference. It is unpredictable positive reinforcement. Most men fall into one of two extremes. They either give too much attention, too much emotion, too much availability, or they pull away completely. Both extremes create pressure. Instead, you respond with awareness. If she texts every few days, you respond in a similar rhythm. If she shares something small and personal, you open up just a little as well. Not everything, not all at once, just enough to meet her where she is. You match her pace instead of racing ahead. You do not overwhelm her with emotions she is not ready to carry. This shows emotional intelligence. It shows maturity. It shows that you understand what she is feeling without forcing her to explain it. And most importantly, it gives her space to fall without feeling like she is losing control of herself. Now, there is one more thing you must understand, and this part is critical. This is the moment where everything either slowly comes together or quietly falls apart. Many men miss this moment because they are too focused on their own fear. Pay attention here because this determines the future of the connection. What happens next is all about timing, and timing is something most men misunderstand completely. Here's the truth about women who feel overwhelmed by love. They are not operating on a timeline for commitment. They are operating on a timeline for safety. In her inner world, safety comes first, always. She needs to see consistency over weeks, sometimes months, not just days. She watches carefully to see if you change when she pulls back. She notices if you become anxious, needy, or reactive when she gets closer. She is not consciously testing you. Her nervous system is simply trying to decide whether closeness with you feels safe or threatening. This has nothing to do with playing games or pretending not to care. It is about showing through repeated actions that you are emotionally stable enough to handle her when she feels vulnerable, uncertain, or afraid. Emotional stability is deeply attractive. Calm energy is attractive. Predictable emotional behavior is attractive. When you remain steady, you give her body permission to relax. And when her body relaxes, her heart can open. Here is the beautiful part of this process. When she finally feels safe, when her guard begins to lower, when those inner walls start to soften, the love she has been holding back turns into the love she finally allows herself to feel. The distance slowly closes, the coldness fades away. the hesitation loosens its grip. And very often, without you forcing anything, she becomes the one who moves closer. She becomes the one who seeks connection, reassurance, and closeness. But this only happens if you are patient enough to let it unfold in its own time. As time passes and she experiences you as safe again and again, the inner push and pull inside her starts to calm down. Her mind stops seeing love as a threat. Her body stops preparing for loss. She no longer feels the urge to run from the very thing she wants most. This is how fear slowly transforms into trust. This is how a woman who feels overwhelmed by her emotions finally allows herself to fall fully, without holding back, without protecting herself from imagined danger. I know this can be confusing and frustrating. When you care deeply about someone, it feels natural to want reassurance. You want her to open up. You want her to move closer. You want clear signs that she feels the same way. But sometimes the strongest feelings show themselves through the most confusing behavior. Her distance does not mean she feels nothing. Often it means she feels too much. She is not pulling away because she does not care. She is pulling away because the intensity of her feelings scares her, and vulnerability feels risky. If you can see that, if you can respond with patience instead of panic, with steadiness instead of fear, you become one of the safest experiences she has ever had. That goes far beyond attraction. That goes beyond trying to win someone over. That is about becoming a man who understands that real love is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes love is quiet. Sometimes it is careful. Sometimes it is afraid. Sometimes it needs space, time, and calm energy to grow naturally without pressure or force. If this message resonated with you and felt true, leave a comment with the word thank you so I know you truly understand what is being shared here. And subscribe because I break down real human psychology like this every single day.